In this video, we're going to take a look at how to solve rational equations by cross multiplying. So there are two different methods that we can use when we're dealing with a rational equation, and the first one, and my personal favorite, is cross multiplying. So we're going to take a look at the example. Solve 4x over 9 minus 4x equals 1 over x minus 1. So our goal is to solve for x. Now, ideally, I would like this to be a polynomial equation because that's something I know how to do. So in order to turn this into a polynomial equation, we can do something called cross multiplying, where we take something that we're dividing by and use the opposite operation and multiply it to the other side. And we're going to do that for both denominators. We're going to take them to the other side of the equation and multiply. So I am going to start by taking x minus 1 and multiplying by 4x. So you could just do the multiplication, but since this is my note, I'm actually going to write out that we're doing 4x times x minus 1. And then on the other side, I'm going to take 9 minus 4x and multiply that by the other side where there's a 1. So the equal sign stays in the middle, and we're going to do 1 times 9 minus 4x. And you'll notice we don't have a denominator anymore. We have essentially turned our rational equation into a polynomial equation by cross multiplying. Now from here, I am going to expand out the brackets on each side. So 4x times x is 4x squared, and 4x times negative 1 is negative 4x. On the other side of the equal sign, 1 times 9 is 9, and 1 times negative 4x is negative 4x. Now, we've already learned how to solve a polynomial equation. We have three different options that we can use. Option number 1, solving by rearranging and isolating the variable. Unfortunately, I have three different terms with variables. One of them has a square, the other two do not. So I don't think that solving by rearranging is going to work for this question. Our other two options are solving by factoring and solving by the quadratic formula. And in order to use those methods, we actually do the same approach, which is to take everything over to one side and make the other side equal 0. So I like to look for the term with the highest exponent, which is x squared. If that coefficient in front is positive, I'm going to leave it on that side and move everything over to join it. If it was a negative, I would take it over to the other side. So since this is a positive 4x squared, I'm going to leave it where it is. And then we are going to bring the other terms over to the left-hand side. So to get rid of a positive 9, I would subtract 9 from both sides. I don't have another term that's just a number, so I'm going to write it there at the end. And then to eliminate a minus 4x, I would add 4x to both sides. I'm going to add this to its like term partner, which is the negative 4x on the other side. So we left 4x squared on the left. Negative 4x plus 4x is 0, so that's gone. And then I just have negative 9. And then on the other side of the equal sign, there's nothing left. So I do need to write something, so I'm going to write that there's a 0. And anytime we're solving by factoring or quadratic formula, we always want that to be a 0. Okay, from here, I do have options. I could factor, we could try to use quadratic formula, or because we are down to just a single term with an x, I could actually rearrange at this point. However, as I'm looking at this, I notice there are two terms, they are being subtracted, and they're both perfect squares. So this is a difference of squares, and I'm going to factor. So I would square root the 4 to get 2, square root x squared to get x, and square root the 9 to get 3. We are going to add in one bracket, and then repeat the same thing, but subtracting in the second bracket. And that still equals 0. So if I am multiplying two things together and getting an answer of 0, that means that one of these two brackets has to be a 0. So I'm going to look at what value of x would make 2x plus 3 equal 0? And what value of x makes 2x minus 3 equal 0? I am going to subtract 3 from both sides in the first one. So I will get 2x equals 0, take away 3 is negative 3. And then divide both sides by 2 to get negative 3 over 2. That is also negative 1.5, but I kind of prefer it as a fraction. From my second one, same idea. I'm going to add 3. So 2x equals 0 plus 3 is 3. And then divide by 2 to get x equals 3 over 2. So there are two different possible values that would make this equation equal 0, negative 3 over 2 and positive 3 over 2. Now technically we should check to make sure that these do not create a denominator of 0, since you cannot divide by 0, but I don't think that negative 3 over 2 will make either one of those equal 0. So my final answer here is just that x equals negative 3 over 2 and positive 3 over 2. Right, and that's it for solving rational equations by cross multiplying.